What's going on, guys? So this is the third video in my video log series, and today I'm just going to be talking about more random stuff. In this video, 3JZGTE pistons and rods versus 2JZGTE pistons and rods, and they're pretty similar. I actually have two. I have the 3JZGTE pistons from when I built the Celica engine, and I swapped out those pistons and rods for forged pistons and rods. And then I just happened to pick up on Facebook Marketplace yesterday a box of IS-300 parts from a guy that was moving away. Along with those parts, GTE pistons and rods. So thank you, random person who was moving away that posted things on Facebook Marketplace, because I am watching those places like a hawk and kind of lucked out on this one. So GTE pistons from Supra Turbo that I can compare to 3JZGTE pistons and rods. So there's that, and also a few days ago on Craigslist I picked up a $1,200 Greddy intake manifold for $200 because it's been painted black and it looks horrible. So it's a discontinued model. I don't know if it was $1,200 when it was originally sold new, but it was $1,200 on the Australian website that I found, which is actually $1,500, but when you do the conversion and the currency, it's about $1,200. He was trying to get rid of it. I was watching it on Craigslist for more than a month. I managed to get some of the paint off of it already, and I'll be talking about how I was removing the paint. So that's that. I'll be talking about that. And then just a quick update on the FJ Cruiser. I'm still waiting on the clutch and the flywheel to come in the mail. I ended up ordering a competition clutch flywheel and a URD clutch disc and pressure plate. The reason I didn't go with URD before is I think in the first video log I mentioned that their shipping was like $312. When I took the flywheel out of the equation and was just ordering their clutch disc and the pressure plate, it ended up being like $90. Could be because yesterday was a holiday, Memorial Day, which thank you to all who served. I served also, so it's that's near and dear to my heart. So. And also, since I'm waiting on the clutch and flywheel to come in the mail, I just ended up getting an OEM Toyota rear main seal. So I'll be putting that in. I'll be putting that in and just making a quick video on that, and just like, hey, this is how you put the rear main seal. And so that will be coming up. But first things first, this is really cool. The pistons and rods are so close to each other. These are the two pistons, 3JZGTE and the 2JZGTE. Obviously, this 3S one I'm not planning on using ever again. I mean, this one I have sitting on plastic because it's definitely going to be used again, hopefully. I'm actually not going to be using these pistons in my build. I will be using forged pistons and rods. I haven't figured out what brand I want to go with yet and what exact compression ratio I want to use, but I will not be using these. So looking at the differences, so I've measured everything before this video, but the wrist pins, they're both 22 millimeters. The thickness of these, they're just under an inch. The 3JZGTE rod was actually 0.2 millimeters thicker than the 2JZ rod, and that's measured left to right as we're looking at it right now, not measured this way. This way they're about the same thickness. They're almost the exact same thickness. The oil feed that goes into the rod, that's a 3 millimeter hole. This is a 3 millimeter hole in this one. And what also I thought was interesting, like going onto the wrist pin, is two more 3 millimeter holes there and there on the 2JZ piston, but on the 3S piston there is no hole. So that's that. And then there's no crown on the 3JZGTE piston, but looking at the 2JZ piston, there is a crown. Where it mounts onto the crank, there's two differences. I mean, one, obviously this is a stud and this is a bolt, but the other main difference is these are 55 millimeter where it goes onto the crank, and this is 51, I think 51 or 52 millimeters, but either way it's considerably smaller. So that's the only major difference that I saw between these two, with the exception of the crown and the little oil feed that goes onto the wrist pin, which I think is, I really don't know why the 3JZGTE doesn't have that, the little oil hole. But if I was still building a 3JZGTE, I would seriously consider getting 2JZ pistons, buying a set of them, and just having an extra two, but buying a set of them for $400 if you buy mine, $500 if you get them on eBay. It seems to be about the price that they go for. And I would put this piston on the 3S rod because The 2JZ pistons are known to handle up to about 800 horsepower. So divide that by 6. What is that? 120 something ish, about 120 horsepower per cylinder. So 3S pistons about the same size, 3S rods about the same size, handle about 500 horsepower, maybe. That's considering that they both have the same metal composition, which I don't know. But factory 3rd gen 3S GTE piston and 2JZGTE piston. I'm going to wrap this guy back up and put him back with his friends. So if anyone out there viewing this video wants these, I will be putting them up on eBay, but if anyone viewing this wants them, I'll sell the pistons and rods for $400. So I'm planning on putting them on eBay for $500, so that's like $100 off. So if you guys want them, send me an email at hour9racecraft@gmail.com and send it pretty quick, because I'm planning on posting these probably within a week, or about a week from now. So if you want the piston rings too, let me know. They are OEM piston rings, so they're made for the pistons. And that's just because I appreciate you guys that are watching the video to this point, and I want to give back to you in some little way. Even though I guess it's only really giving back to one person, it's kind of like a contest type thing. Who can email the fastest? Onto the intake manifold though. So that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. I might edit that out. So this is a Greddy intake manifold. It looks like the factory intake runners were welded on to the plenum. These look like GTE, but then I don't have GTE intake manifold runners to compare it to. It just looks like how the factory casting is, which is good, because that means my injector seats are solid where it bolts to the where it bolts in, where it mates up to the engine is good. And the casting of this, it doesn't look like it is a knockoff Greddy. It looks like it actually is a Greddy. The knockoff ones, from what I've seen, they're polished to high mirror shine, so it looks very enticing, but they're usually cheap cast jobs. And it came with, this is an Infinity Q45 throttle body, and it's got a 3 1/4 inside diameter, so it's a decent sized throttle body, and that meets up with this. This is a 3 1/4 inside diameter inlet going into the intake manifold. But the way that I'm getting the paint off of this is I'm actually using a combination of brake fluid, ignore the carburetor cleaner, that's just kind of there. The brake fluid, I pretty much just brush it on. Just pretty much just like brush it on to the intake manifold and let it sit there for a couple hours. And after it's sat there for a couple hours, just kind of scrape it off, and it comes off fairly easily. Let's see, there's some stuff that's just been sitting over here. Okay. Yeah, it just comes off fairly easily in little sheets. This is a plastic razor blade. I bought a bunch of them on eBay a long time ago, and there's been 1,000,001 uses for these things. I love them, but I'm using that so I don't scratch the aluminum, and they're doing a really good job. So plastic razor blade, scraping off the brake fluid after it sits on the paint for a couple hours. And if you want to, you can take a heat gun and you can put it on before you even try to scrape the paint off. You can heat up the intake manifold, or whatever it is you're trying to get paint off of. You can heat up the paint that now has brake fluid soaking into it. Heat it up, and then it comes off even easier. So I've been doing that. But yeah, it's been coming off fairly easily, but I've got to do the whole thing. So I'm trying to figure out a better way to coat this thing in brake fluid so that it sits, because it runs and it doesn't sit on some of the curves and everything like the way that I want it to sit. And I'm not getting this sandblasted because I don't want it to look like it was sandblasted. I want to keep it pretty clean. But that's that. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and leave ideas down below, things that you'd like to see Also, I do have a PayPal link that is in the description if you, I mean, not that I don't really need, I would like this channel to get to the point to where I don't need to work a full-time job, because it is hard to make videos and work a full-time job. So maybe, hopefully, one day. But if you feel so inclined to make any kind of donation or just to send me enough to buy a coffee or whatever, then that's fine. My PayPal link is in the description below. But thanks a lot for watching. I very much do appreciate everyone that's watched all of my videos. If you're watching the video logs and you're subjecting yourself to the torture of listening to me ramble on about stuff, I very much appreciate that. I do. I very much do. So thanks for watching, though, and God bless you guys.